Now, marhaba to my Arabs in the crowd. If you're Arab and you're in the crowd, can I please hear you scream? See, that's what an Arab event should sound like. Now, good evening, everybody. Good evening. Tamam. Let's start with some anger and see how much anger Oslo can give us. Yalla. حدا قال يلا بنا يلا. Thank you. Are you معاي? Yes.
I'm just waiting for them.
For everyone to sit down. This looks much more beautiful. I could see all of you. I could see your faces. Very nice. Now we'll have a lot of partying and dancing afterwards when 47 Soul. How are the dabbike in the house? Do we have enough dabbike here? Nice. All right. Good. Good. So I'll be al-awwal once the dabke starts. Let's do some poetry first. اسمحوا لي أن أتكلم بلساني العربي قبل أن يحتلوا لغتي أيضا. اسمحوا لي أن أتكلم بلساني العربي قبل أن يحتلوا لغتي أيضا. Allow me to speak my Arab tongue before they occupy my language as well. Allow me to speak my mother tongue so her words can come through me before they colonize her memory as well. I am an Arab woman of color, and we come in all shades of anger. All my grandfather ever wanted to do was wake up at dawn and watch my grandmother kneel and pray in a village hidden between Yafa and Haifa. My mother was born under an olive tree on a soil they say is no longer mine, but I will cross their barriers, their checkpoints, their damn apartheid walls, and I'll return to my homeland. I am an Arab woman of color, and we come in all shades of anger. But you tell me this womb inside of me will only bring you your next terrorist, beard-wearing, gun-waving, towel-head stand nigger. You tell me I send my children out to die, but those are your copters, your F-16s in our skies. And let's talk about this terrorism business for a second. Wasn't it the CIA that killed Allende and Lumumba? And who trained Osama in the first place? My grandparents didn't run around like clowns with white capes and white hoods on their heads lynching black people. So let me break it to you. There's no good occupation and no moral army. I am an Arab woman of color, and we come in all shades of anger. So one more person ask me if I can belly dance. Live in a tent and own a camel. And one more immigration officer stop me and frisk me for having a tan he only wishes he had. And who's that brown woman screaming in a demonstration? Sorry, should I not scream? Did I forget to be your every Orientalist dream? Genie in a bottle, belly dancer, harem girl, soft-spoken Arab woman? Yes, master. No, master. Thank you for the peanut butter sandwiches raining down on us from your B-52s, master. Yes, my liberators are here to kill my children and call them collateral damage. I am an Arab woman of color, and we come in all shades of anger. So let me just tell you, this womb inside of me will only bring you your next rebel. She'll have a rock in one hand and a Palestinian flag in the other. I am an Arab woman of color. Beware, 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 beware our anger. Thank you. All right, يعني so far Oslo you are nus-nus. Which means half-half, 50-50. That's my father's policy on life, is 50-50. Are you coming 50-50? I'm not sure. All right. This next poem is called Chronologies. It's about the way refugees always remember the names of years of massacres and are always waiting to return back home. Chronologies. Chronologies, chronologies, chronologies with no purpose. Just dates upon dates and dates to remind us we once existed over there. Chronologies with no purpose. Just dates upon dates and dates to remind us we once existed over there. And years are only names for massacres. 48, 67, 20-something, and we are still waiting. The dead, our dead, are numbered, listed, graphed, mapped. Our dead are listed, numbered, graphed, mapped, and clustered in phosphorus, wrapped neatly in a statistic for your evening news. 20-something, and we're still waiting long enough in visa lines to carve out a home of fake smiles and documents, to know that I'm from there and unwanted anywhere else. The there they accuse us of, the there of stories told in shelters in Beirut by grandparents, voices trembling, never knowing if they will ever see there again. Something, and waiting to negotiate or not negotiate, to apologize for our own nakba, to accept exile and pray forgetfulness and be practical child, be pragmatic child. The refugees are the last stumbling block, so they want to throw us away. They want to negotiate us away. They will never let you return, child. They will never let you return, child, as if we need permission to be from there, as if we had a choice to be from somewhere else. 20-something, and we're still waiting for another boat to break another siege, for mothers to make miracles, raising children only on water and lentils, and no shoes for school, for some to just let us be Palestinian and return, Palestinian and return. And there will be more boats. I promise you there will be more boats, and I will sit in one, curled up in a memory that still smells of lead and concrete. And my children, they will learn to play. They will learn to play by a beach in Jaffa, and they will tell stories. They will tell the whole world stories. How long we waited to get back there. 20-something, and we're still waiting. We're still waiting. We're still waiting. Chronologies. Phil, I can't hear myself very well at all.
Turn the music down.
Cool. Right. This next poem is called Passport. I grew up what they call illegal most of my life, meaning I had no documents. I don't think you should ever use the word illegal to talk about a human being. Human beings cannot be illegal by definition. Thank you. But finally, after struggling for a very, very, very long time, I got a Canadian passport. And what I hadn't realized is to get a Canadian passport, you need to swear an oath to the Queen of England. because they're still Commonwealth, the Queen, and all of that, and they take that very seriously. And I had to fly back to Toronto from where I live in London to swear an oath to the Queen. And they give you a piece of paper that says, I swear an oath to the Queen and all her, what to me, as a speaker of English as a second language, looked like the word hair, except it's heirs. So you swear an oath to the Queen of England and all her heirs. So this poem is about that. Today is my day. You see, today is my day, today is my day. I will finally become like one of you. Legal, passported, like one of you. Today is my day. I will finally become one of you. Legal, passported, human, normal, just like one of you. And all I have to do is put my hand up and swear an oath to the Queen and her mighty, mighty hairs. I'm not sure which hairs exactly. This is not the time to ask that question. This is not the time to speak about British colonialism, history, the Balfour Declaration, everything we have learned our entire life. This is not the time to ask about how much the Queen owns. This is the time to put on my biggest, brightest, least terrorist smile and swear an oath to the Queen and her mighty, mighty hairs. And he didn't even look up at me. Sheltered behind a grey desk, a wide smile. Sheltered behind a grey desk, a wide smile. He didn't even look up at me. He didn't ask my name. He didn't inspect a picture to match a face or an age. He didn't ask me the usual question. He didn't ask for the reason for my visit or the name of the hotel or the name of a friend. He didn't ask me none of the questions I'm used to. He didn't send me to the back of the line. Didn't send me to the back of the line, into that small room in the back of airports you legal people never see. He didn't send me to that little room, stand me naked, alone for seconds, then rubber gloves to slowly feel skin, seek evidence for something I have never understood. What do immigration officers think we hide under our skin? What do they think we hide under our skin? But I finally got it. This is how the other half lives. This is how the legal half lives. This is how you passported half lives. And for a second I wanted to stand my ground. For a second I wanted to stand my ground. I wanted to tell him, excuse me, there are questions to question. Excuse me, you forgot. There are questions to question. I wanted to explain his mistake. There are questions to question. There's machinery. There's always new machinery they need to test. Machinery that scans our retinas shell-shocked. Machinery that deciphers our fingertips and finds our grandmothers hiding under rubble. Machinery that can find our history, disfigured skeletons, disfigured spines in the zigzag of visa lines in boats across that killing field you call the Mediterranean. Ask me how legal I am. Ask me about my identity. Ask me how many of my dead my bones carry every day across your airports. How many? But he didn't even look up at me. He didn't even look up at me. You see, nothing changed. Between July 12th and July 13th, between July 12th and July 13th, nothing changed. Nothing about this world changed. My illegal skin, my illegal bones, my illegal skin, my illegal bones, they still carry the same damn illegal me. All I had to do was put my hand up and swear an oath to the Queen and her mighty, mighty hairs. All right, let's see if we can kick it up a notch now if we fix the monitors. Yeah. So this year is the 10th, almost into the 11th anniversary of the siege on Gaza. Oftentimes people say Gaza or the Gaza Strip is the world's largest open-air prison. I think that's an understatement. More than 1.7 million people are sitting under a medieval siege that Israel has imposed on the tiny strip. Even the tunnels have now been blocked. And sometimes when people's homes are bulldozed, people think you just get over it and build a new home. So this is a poem about breaking sieges. I learned most of the things I know about Palestine from women in shelters in Beirut who used to teach us to dance despite everything happening outside, despite the F-16s, despite the bombs. They used to teach us how to dance in these shelters. So when you were speaking earlier about the last skies and about birds, I think it's always these women that have taught us everything we know about Palestine. So this is how we break their sieges, no matter what sieges. Your sieges beat into our bones, freedom songs. Your sieges beat into our bones, freedom songs. Your sieges beat into our bones, freedom songs. We recite them in bread lines, in visa lines, in these lines I repeat them. We stomp into this earth to remember we are alive. Like Debke, it holds our feet steady towards home. Like Debke, it holds our feet steady towards home. We are from here, we've always been here. We are from here, we've always been here. Brown like this earth you want to expel us from. Brown like this earth you want to expel us from. But this rubble you walk through, soldier, is memory on our skin. This rubble you walk through, soldier, is memory on our skin. Because home is not stones and walls. Home is heartbeats gathered to make sure no one goes to bed hungry. Mothers that make sure that even by candlelight children study. And that grandmother who told me if I ever learn to bake, I need to add rose water to everything. Your sieges beat into our bones, freedom songs. Your sieges beat into our bones, freedom songs. Your sieges beat into our bones, freedom songs. And that rubble you walk through, soldier, is memory on our skin. That rubble you walk through, soldier, is memory on our skin. And you can't erase that. It is memory on ancestors' tongues hung in public in the streets of Akka. They know too well where trails of tears lead. They know too well the feel of needles piercing native tongue. They know too well boats that are too small to pack history. For them I'll recite the name of the first village you destroyed. For them I will recite the name of the last village you destroyed. For them I will recite the name of the first village you destroyed. For them I will recite the name of the last village you destroyed, and the 500 in between. Repeat them like prayer, like the holy names of God. Repeat them like prayer because you civilized. You're so civilized. You're always taking what is not yours and giving what is not yours and taking what is not yours. But your sieges beat into our bones, freedom songs. Your sieges beat into our bones, freedom songs. And there's nothing you can do to erase that. And that rubble you walk through, soldier, is memory on our skin. That rubble you walk through, soldier, is memory on our skin. We recite them in bread lines, in visa lines, in these lines. I repeat them. All right, we're coming alive. Hey, Oslo! All right, yalla shway. Because I needed that by the time 47 Soul comes on stage, you guys are really ready to party. Yani so far we've been okay. Although this next poem ما له علاقة بالparty, has no connection to partying whatsoever, I'm about to depress the hell out of all of you. Notice when I switch to Arabic, my English accent gets thicker. Hadil is an extremely common name for girls in Palestine. Hadil is an Arabic word that means the cooing of doves. And quite often, Arab names have meanings to do with nature and to do with trees and animals and everything around us. So my name is Rafif. It means the sound of birds' wings. And the reason my parents gave me this name was for the right of return. That even though they couldn't go back to Palestine, they hoped their children one day would be able to go back to Palestine. Thank you. And that's why I make sure in most of my poems that whenever there's an actual name of a real human being, that I use that, because people are more than statistics. And every statistic you hear about is a real human being. I wrote this poem when the US military and the Israeli military were having a big public relations fight about how it's better to use women as spokespeople for the army, because people will receive the news better than if you use a general wearing a military uniform. It's better to use somebody who's just a woman wearing civilian clothing. So this is a poem for a little girl called Hadil, who lost her life in the Gaza Strip. Hadil is 9. I'm sorry, I apologize. I always make this mistake. Hadil was 9. Just this morning, Hadil was 9. But Israeli officials said they regret her death, but terrorism must stop, rockets must stop, resistance must stop, or they will continue to shell Gaza until we surrender the bit of dignity we have left, until we elect who they want, sign what they want, and die in silence the way they want. You see, Israeli security is absolute. It's written in blood and bulldozers and the art of women spokespersons, because death is softer coming from a woman. Death is more polite, they tell me, if it's coming from a woman. Death is more polite, they tell me, if it's coming from a woman. But who? Which one of you will tell Hadil's mother that nothing changed the day Hadil died? Nothing changed the day Hadil died. Who? Which one of you will tell Hadil's mother, busy baking bread and za'atar, that the doves will not fly over Gaza again? The doves will not fly over Gaza again. The doves will not fly over Gaza again. Hadil is gone. Forever gone. Hadil, Habibi Hadil. Every prayer I remember and half remember. Every prayer I lost in alleys in a refugee camp a long time ago. Every prayer I remember and half remember won't bring you back, as you wrap yourself in stories of Palestine and cry a while until the next soldier knocks down your door. And who? Which one of you is going to tell Hadil that nothing changed the day Hadil died? Nothing stopped. Not a pause, not a tear. Next meeting, next cigarette, next train, next meeting, next cigarette, next train, next meeting, next cigarette, next train. Solidarity from afar, like a sick joke, a bad story to tell a child. But who? Which one of you who's going to tell Hadil that the doves will not fly over Gaza again? The doves will not fly over Gaza again. The doves will not fly over Gaza again. And they tell me, they've always taught me, don't cry for martyrs. Don't cry for martyrs. Carry on the fight, 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 carry on the fight. But for Hadil, give me a moment of silence. No, I apologize. I always make this mistake. I apologize. For Hadil, give me a moment of sincere resistance. Give me just one moment of sincere resistance where you get up. Stop watching us on your evening news. And do something. Give me just a single moment of sincere resistance so you can hold on to the little bit of dignity that you have left. For Hadil. When you arrive to a place as a new migrant, especially if you're Arab, you have a few choices. It's really hot up here, by the way. I'm not usually just doing this. Anyway, Your choices are: you work as a taxi driver, you work in a coffee shop, or you sell falafel. And usually if you sell falafel, it has to be at a place called Alibaba. I don't know why. Somehow there's this international thing that you have to have a place called Alibaba internationally, everywhere around the world. And of course, when I first arrived in Canada, all my degrees didn't matter. I needed to work in the so-called service industry in a coffee shop. And it was me, a girl from Afghanistan, a girl from Afghanistan, Iraq, Kurdistan, and one other one. So between us, we combined all of the problems of the Middle East in one coffee shop. And of course, our manager was a big jerk. He knew none of us had documents. He knew he could pay us whatever he wanted. So in solidarity with each other, we all promised that we would spit in his coffee every time he asked us for coffee. And every time I say that, everyone who works in the service industry goes, yay! And every manager is like, oh no. So for the record, managers, if you're bad to your workers, we are spitting in your coffee. And that's on a nice day. Keep that in mind. This is a poem about choices. Choices. Endless. Sorry, back there, no one has to worry. You're all brilliant. Choices. Endless, endless, endless choices. Choices, endless, endless choices have opened up for you, girl. To sell, kill sometime. Endless choices have opened up for you, girl. To sell, kill sometime. Sell, kill sometime, and count change all day to make those damn ends meet. Somewhere beautiful like a hot meal and a hug. To make those damn ends meet somewhere beautiful like a hot meal and a hug. And you can't hold on to homesick. You can't hold on to homesick, and you can't turn your face from its own scars. So you pray, you open up palms and pray, 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 pray. But sorrow drips in coins sometimes, girl. Sorrow drips in tips sometimes, girl. And you keep on counting every day. You keep on counting your day every day to hiding under rubble, to the sound of bulldozers. And you run further this time, further this time, further this time, further this time, until you find yourself in the cold. Until you find yourself in this big, white, cold, with empty pockets, serving memories for strangers. Serving up your memories for strangers. Serving your coffee with no cardamom. Serving your coffee with no cardamom. And it can never, ever, ever smell like home. Choices. Choices. I don't know if anyone has had proper Arabic coffee, like Palestinian Arabic coffee. So it's served with cardamom, and we're very snobby about our coffee as well. And you know, like someone's house will be bulldozed. They're living in a tent. They have no food to eat, and if you serve them coffee that's without cardamom, they'll say, "No, thank you. I don't want this coffee." So it means a lot. We'll do the last two poems before we wrap up. We'll wrap up with We Teach Life at the end. By the way, Phil Mansour, the amazing Phil Mansour, is here all the way from Australia, which is a long way away. And Phil was kind enough to produce my CD, We Teach Life. I don't think I would have ever been able to produce the CD, We Teach Life. And that poem sort of made it online, and no one ever realized it was never recorded. And I didn't even know it was online. So thank you, Phil, for all the amazing work you did on that. And the CD is in the back. So if you want to support us in producing more CDs like this, please buy it. And it's at the back. And I'll come around before the party starts with 47 Soul. This next poem is called... Did you want to do Ghosts, or did you want to do the Palestine I Know? All right. This next poem is called The Palestine I Know. As I said before, it's about the Palestine that raised me, that taught me everything I know about what it is to be Palestinian. The Palestine I know does not have a VIP pass. The Palestine I know does not have a VIP pass, wear Armani suits and French cologne. She smells of sage and za'atar. She is warm like Deir Yassin. The Palestine I know does not have a VIP pass, wear Armani suits and French cologne. She taught me dabke in a shelter in Beirut to the sound of bombs. She taught me dabke in a shelter in Beirut to the sound of bombs. Gathered the children and laughed. They're just making music for us. They're just making music for us. Don't you be afraid. Don't you be afraid, children. They're just making music for us. She was a woman so big with love. She laughed out loud and stomped out loud. Don't you be afraid, children. Don't you be afraid. Don't you let them scare you. Don't you let them scare you. The Palestine I know does not have a VIP pass. She held her daughters and waited for her husband on 66 days of hunger strike. She told the world, I wish you could see his eyes. They are the most beautiful blue-green. I wish you could see them. The Palestine I know does not have a VIP pass. Matter of fact, she is stopped at every port and inspected, questioned, her skin inspected for that deep scar. And she slept on the cold cement of the Cairo airport with her 4 children, a 5th on the way. And with her eyes in silence, she told them, one day your Mubarak will fall. For every Palestinian, for every human you have held in these dungeons, one day your Mubarak will fall. The Palestine I know does not have a VIP pass. She walks straight past settlers and soldiers with her head held up high, screaming, my olive tree needs me, my olive tree needs me. And she hugs that tree so tight, her hands become its branches. The Palestine I know does not care about a VIP pass. She does not negotiate the size of our prison. She does not negotiate the size of our prison. She breaks through its walls. She breaks through its walls. She does not dialogue across its bars. She breaks those bars. She breaks those bars and beats them to the rhythm of old slave songs, freedom. She breaks those bars and beats them to the rhythm of old slave songs, freedom, freedom. Freedom. And if you stop and listen, you can hear her. If you stop and listen, you can hear her pacing across the shoreline from Haifa to Akka, all the way to Gaza. You can hear her waiting for all her children, every last one of her children, to come home.
Should we do guys or not? Huh?
What do you feel like? Because we're running out of time. All right. We're trying to make sure 47 Soul has as much time as they like, so I think we'll wrap up with We Teach Life. How does that sound? All right. No, it's good. Yeah, it's okay. I love Norway. You guys are doing great. I mean, you should have seen Finland. That's all I'm gonna say. In Finland, they put me in a silent disco, and no one said anything for the entire time. It was a very emotional experience for me. It really touched me very deeply. So go Oslo. Yay to all of you. All right. For those of you who haven't seen We Teach Life online, please see it. Please buy the CD. I wrote it when the bombs were dropping on Gaza, now back in 2008. And we were part of a coalition, and they made me the spokesperson for this coalition to go and face the media. And I learned all these sound bites, and I practiced so much. And the first question I got the next day was, you Palestinians teach your children so much hatred, and wouldn't it all be fine if you stopped teaching hatred? And if you could think of the ultimately racist thing you could say to a woman is, you teach your children to hate, because that's basically saying you're not human and you don't care for your children. And that's always the language people use to dehumanize others. And I think in Europe right now, we need to seriously worry about the dehumanizing language being used against migrants, against refugees. I live in that nut place, madhouse called England right now, where everything around Brexit had to do with the refugees coming and swarming the borders. Refugees are just people who've lost their homes and lost everything and are trying to survive. And we have every right to try and survive. And when we come to a new place, we make it our home. We're not criminals. So this is Teach Life, about those kinds of sound bites that people use to dehumanize people. Thank you. Today, my body was a TV'd massacre. Today, my body was a TV'd massacre that had to fit into sound bites and word limits. Today, my body was a TV'd massacre that had to fit into sound bites and word limits, filled enough with statistics to counter measured response. So I perfected my English. I learned all my UN resolutions and I perfected my English, but still he looked me straight in the eyes and asked me, Ms. Ziyada, wouldn't everything be resolved if you Palestinians would just stop teaching so much hatred to your children? Pause. I look inside of me for strength to be patient. I look inside of me for strength to be patient, but patience is not at the tip of my tongue as the bombs drop over Gaza. Patience has just escaped me. Pause. We teach life, sir. We teach life, sir, after they have occupied the last skies. We teach life, sir, after they have built their settlements and their apartheid walls. After the last skies, we teach life, sir. But today my body was a TV'd massacre made to fit into sound bites and word limits. Made to fit into sound bites and word limits. And they need a hook, you see. They tell me every journalist needs a hook. They want a human story, a human story. Maybe you can give us a story of a woman from Gaza who needs medication, just medication. Shh, don't mention that word apartheid. Shh, we don't talk about that word occupation. Just human stories, you see, human stories. Maybe you can find us a woman from Gaza who needs medication. Maybe she can be pretty. Maybe she can speak English without an accent. Just find us a human story. We need a hook. We need a hook. Every journalist needs a hook. See, you have to help me to help you tell the story of your people, which is not a political story. It is not a political story, you see. Hand me over your dead. Hand me over your dead and give me the list of their names. But make sure that it's in 1,200 word limits, or my editor will be upset. Today my body was a TV'd massacre made to fit into sound bites and word limits. Made to hook those that are desensitized to terrorist blood. But they felt sorry. They felt sorry for the cattle over Gaza. So I give them statistics and UN resolutions. And I speak their language. I give them statistics and UN resolutions, and I speak their language. We condemn, we deplore, we reject, we really condemn, and we strongly deplore, and we really honestly reject. These are not two equal sides, occupier and occupied. These are not two equal sides, colonizer and colonized. And 100 dead, 200 dead, 2,000 dead, 100 dead, 200 dead, 500 children dead, 2,000 dead, and I recount, and I recount, and I recount. And Rafiq, remember to smile, not terrorist. Remember to smile, not exotic. And I recount, and I recount, and I recount. 100 dead, 200 dead, 300 dead, 500 children dead, 2,000 dead, 2,000 dead. War crimes, 2,000 dead. And I recount, and I recount, and I recount, and I recount, and I recount. Is anyone out there? Will anyone listen? Will anyone listen? I wish I wish I could just wail over their bodies. I wish I could just stand barefoot. I wish I could just run barefoot in every refugee camp and hold every child, cover their ears, so they wouldn't have to hear the sound of bombing for the rest of their life the way that I do. I wish I could just run barefoot in every refugee camp. Hold every child, cover their ears, so they wouldn't have to hear the sound of bombing for the rest of their life the way that I do. 'Cause let me just tell you, there's no soundbite. There's no soundbite. No matter how good my English gets, there's no soundbite. No matter how well I practice, no soundbite, no soundbite, no soundbite, no soundbite, no soundbite, no soundbite can bring them back to life. And no soundbite can fix this. No soundbite can fix this. We teach life, sir. We teach life, sir. We Palestinians wake up every morning to teach the rest of the world life, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Oslo. Thank you, thank you, thank you. See you over drinks and the party. Thank you.